Hey, kia ora, Brian. It's Chris here from the Bayleys Insights team, sitting down today with Stuart Bent from our property services team, and we are chatting, Stu, office outgoings. What a great topic.
Great topic, mate. Great topic.
100%. So, Stu, just to get us started, office outgoings, right, obviously really material for both landlord and tenants. What do you think are the reasons that people need to be actively managing this element?
Yeah, it's a great question, mate. Thanks for having me back. It's nice to be back with you.
You are welcome.
So, like, outgoings in my world, in the commercial property management, super important.
Yep.
I think because it's one of our fundamental responsibilities in managing an asset, is getting those outgoings competitive. And it depends on who you talk to. You know, with landlords, it's super important in terms of that transparency to the tenants. You know, because this, at the end of the day, it's the tenant's money. They're contributing a contribution towards the running of the asset, the service costs or the outgoings.
Yeah, particularly with most parts of New Zealand working on net rents, right? So the tenant is paying for the outgoings.
Yeah, and I think what we often see is landlords think that because they can recover it from their tenants, it just flows through. But tenants, or smart tenants and well-advised tenants, will actually be running a ruler over all of these budgets coming out. So it's really important to maintain good relationships and that transparency and avoid any kind of disputes down the line, that you're pretty open book with this. Often, you know, what we do at Bayleys, we prepare our budgets well in advance so that we can present those to the tenants so they get to see what we are asking them to contribute. Absolutely. But most importantly to landlords want to know that they're getting that full recovery of OPEX or outgoings.
As opposed to under-recovering and just losing money.
And some leases, we know that as part of that negotiation, there might be a few lines taken out. I hate seeing management fees being taken out, but hey, that's all a negotiation. So as well, landlords have to make sure, though, that they're reflecting that within the construction of their outgoings so that they don't trip up by putting, say, management fees into the outgoings when they've already negotiated with the tenant that they can't be in there. So I would say transparency is really important for the tenants, and obviously for the relationship with the tenant and the landlord, that's really important, that the accuracy and the proactiveness of the budget. A little gets frustrating for tenants when the landlords are a little bit late getting those budgets out.
Getting approvals and that, particularly corporate clients.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, just fundamental things like if your budget starts on the 1st of April and the landlord's servicing you with that budget in the 1st of July, you're kind of going, hey, we've known this date's been there for a while. You know, that's something I've now got to readjust.
Yeah, how was that not sorted?
Absolutely. But I think the key thing as well for the landlords is that this also helps preserve capital value. If you've got an outgoings budget that is a little uncompetitive in the market, worst case, it could fall a deal over, as in the total occupancy costs, the rent and the outgoings gets too much. And when you're spoilt for choice in a market, sometimes a tenant will walk with their feet and go, I can get an outgoings rate $10 cheaper that could lower my TOC.
Yeah, that makes heaps of sense. And so I guess this segues quite nicely into our office outgoings report, which we've just put out. We've got a preview available online for that. A little bit of background. So we worked with a whole bunch of different landlords to get outgoings data. Cheers to EOS from our team for pulling it all together, and has allowed us to benchmark both current outgoings and also their escalation over time. So we've got links to that, and if you want to get more info, we can happily have a chat about that. But Stu, off the back of the benchmarks report, what was maybe one of the insights that you took out of it?
Well, there was numerous actually. It was a great report, and we're stoked to have really good contribution from the market, good sample of properties. I think probably one of the key things was trying to get that balance between the outgoings that you have control over versus the ones you don't. And you see in the report that it was interesting that the green initiatives, that often people feel that by embedding those into the practices of managing their buildings, that's going to reduce the OPEX. But as you raised in the report, that often those buildings can be in areas of high land value that attracts a high council rates. And then also we've had over years prior, we've had a good escalation in insurance costs, which is starting to plateau, which is great. But you've got this kind of tug of war going on between the rates and the insurance, which are the big ticket items in any outgoings
100%.
budget.
They're the big ticket items, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. But where people are still making some really good savings and efficiencies in that kind of green space, and when I mean the green space, I'm really meaning the utilities. So that water, waste, and of course power. Power generally being about the third largest cost in an outgoings behind rates and insurance. We're definitely seeing clients who have been willing to embed good practices into that utility space. They're getting the reduction on that, both short and probably more longer term. And that's kind of countering where they're getting the escalation in the rates and insurance. So whilst we're not seeing this massive reduction because people have put green initiative in space, it's helped offset some of the increases and all that.
Yeah. And so Stu, off the back of that, if maybe a landlord or a tenant has concerns around where their outgoings are at for the moment, or maybe the outlook on the outgoings, what would be your suggestion around practical steps they could take?
Yeah, it's a good question. What we endeavour to do at Bayleys when we're preparing any of our outgoings budgets, we just don't delay.
Yep.
And when I say that, just if you've got, say, a 1 April, start that process in the new year. So the January, February type stuff, we often see it just takes too long, and so they're doing it kind of within the month before. So my first suggestion would be just don't delay, because what that does, it gives you a runway to actually sit down with your suppliers. And bear in mind, there are many suppliers or service contractors, so cleaners and air conditioning and security and lifts, etc., management fees, etc. All of those people need to be visited to go, okay, we don't want any surprises once this 12-month budget. We don't want to suddenly find that you've got an escalation. So what I would definitely suggest, actively talk with your contractors. And even say to them, encourage them, hey, what efficiencies have you got that we can unlock in this building that we haven't already?
Yeah, because quite often they will have ideas, right?
Absolutely, and I don't think our partners get enough credit. We kind of engage with them to do a certain service, they do it, hey, that's cool, but we don't often say, hey, you came up with some great ideas, great initiatives that we want to share for the betterment of the operations of the buildings that we manage. So I think definitely...
start early, engage with people. Right?
Absolutely.
Final note, if you do want to learn a little bit more, welcome to have a chat to the Bayleys team, and I'm sure you guys would love to have a chat to our customers out there.
Of course, mate. Happy to help, mate.
Yes, sweet. Well, Stu, thanks very much for chatting today. It's been very insightful. Like I say, we've got some web links there for our latest benchmarking report, and with that said, we'll wrap it up here. So cheers, Stu, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, mate.